started. They are flying right now, and so they couldn't make it on the Zoom call. Hi, Heather, can you hear me?
Hi, I can. Thank you for sending me that link. I'm sorry for the extra.
That's okay. I am glad you were able to join us.
Me too. Thank you.
Let's see. Oops. All right. Sarah, can you hear? Is that you? I figured that was you.
I'm sorry.
CO or KOCSU didn't quite, wasn't totally sure.
My husband.
All right. Well, I promised just to meet for an hour, so I'm going to try to fly through. I know it is a lot of things. I know it's not ideal to be on Zoom to do it, but we are going to do our best. And please know that at the clinic, you each are with other people who are doing the same thing, who, like Sarah, you have folks who were at the training, but also actually all of you have people who not only were at the training, but who have practiced doing these things and were leading the specific sub trainings within our training. They have the expertise on your subject matter area.
Good.
So
Yay.
you not only are in a zone with other people doing the same work and can check in and ask questions, but also with the people who trained those people. And the nature of this work is such that we do not expect it to go perfectly or smoothly. So if that happens to you, or if you get frustrated, one, you're not alone. Two, it's not unexpected. And three, always it is good insight into what our immigrant neighbors are dealing with regularly. And they don't have the, um, like native English speaker or American for a long time experience that brings us some sort of savviness when we're dealing with systems or people or phone calls and things like that. So Heather, just looping back a little bit, Bonnie asked, like, do we know how many people are coming? I have no idea. We have zero idea how many people are coming. We really hope we get a lot of folks, and we could have very few. So it is a real possibility that, maybe our volunteer numbers outweigh it, but outweigh the number of people we get. We don't have any clue, but we're setting up to be ready for many people. We'll have waiting areas. Uh, Heather, have you been to CTS?
I have been to CTS. It's been a number of years, but yes.
Yeah, okay. And I don't, Bonnie, did you ever come? Have you been
I
here?
used to do EcoCycle trainings there.
Oh, cool. So you have a little visual, but
I
just,
do have a visual. Yeah.
you three are great examples that not everyone who's working the clinic is like a consistent member with CTS,
Yeah.
and that includes you also. Don't feel like, you're the odd one out there either. But if you have been in our space in Quebec, I don't think, Sarah, that you've been here, but you're okay. There, we're going to be sticking pretty close to the main entrance in our larger spaces so that we can point and direct people and they can have a line of sight to where they're going. So we'll have little zones. We'll have a healthcare area, and you can imagine chairs for people to wait their turn, and then tables where you would sit one-on-one with the person that you're helping at that time. Behind you will be a table for supplies related to your area, whether it's healthcare, food access, or the language transportation station. So we'll have three zones that are set up like that. Space for you to work one-on-one with the client, and you're near other people doing the same thing, waiting area, and then a table with resources and extra materials. When I'll be working a welcome station with another woman, Tanya, and we're both bilingual in English and Spanish. And so we'll be welcoming people I'm going to do a little screen share. So that you can see some of the things that you'll be using. So when people check in, they will get one of these welcome papers. And a lot of these papers are color coded so that you can find things easily and folks can find things. So they will have one of these forms where they can share some information that will be useful for you to identify what to prioritize when you're working with them, and for us to direct them first to this zone or that zone or that zone. Do they need food first more than anything else, or something else? Also, in the space, there also will be snacks and coffee and tea, and there will be a kid craft play area so that if small children are coming along with their parents, they have things to occupy them, also in mostly the line of sight of their parents if they feel comfortable with that. So people will come in, we will give them this, we will then direct them after they fill it out to one of your stations, where you will have a little station checklist just to remind you, what do you need to do once you are interfacing with them? Don't forget to introduce yourself, right? We want to make sure this is a really warm, welcoming experience for people, and that includes that person-to-person connection and relationship. So introducing yourself, that's a great time to kind of assess what sort of translation support you need. On their welcome sheet, it will have the language, that their primary language, so that you can select the right one. And then you'll check that welcome sheet that I just showed for their priorities, because some of you have stations where the priorities, you could tentatively or potentially help them with 3 different things. If you're at the medical station, they might need help with dental and vision and primary care, right? And so you want to assess based on their priorities and what you are hearing from them, which do they want to do first? No matter how many people come into the clinic, when you meet with someone one-on-one, we want you to move them as far as you can through their top priority. So that might mean they decide that they really need a dental appointment. So the way dental aid works is that one is a paper form. So you would work with them to complete the paper form and call to make an appointment if they're picking up their phones. Then if time allows, if there aren't that many people or no one is waiting, you can move to, okay, now let's register you with Clinica for primary care. If there's a lot of people waiting, you can give them some next steps of, let me share the number with you they have, or the hours with you of how you can get in touch with Clinica. Does this make sense as an example? That we want to make sure that at least one service gets complete. But if you have a lot of people waiting, you would just give them information about the next priority that they have at your station.
And if you're sending them on and they don't have a phone, are they using phones at the church?
The folks we're working with.
Yeah,
So I have yet to meet anyone who doesn't have some sort of phone,
okay,
even if it's just Wi-Fi capabilities.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
because just in this day and age, that's
Yeah,
the first tool really
most
that
people get,
people
okay.
need. If they're sticking around, like sure, they could use like one of our landlines, but also in this situation, I'm envisioning this is like they're going to do that at a different point, not necessarily at our church. If they're doing the step with you, you would call together. So you will need your phones and your computer or tablet, whichever, so that you could be doing work, but also making calls or using the translation app. It will
Okay.
back to translation. And then you will have an exit slip or a next step slip. So this is where we have long vertical sheets. Everyone will get one of those. I forgot to say when they'll get that welcome paper, and they'll also get a folder to keep documents and things in that they might pick up from you, or if they're walking around just with a handful of their own, this is my birth certificate, it's my passport. We will also have manila, the big folders that can
Yeah.
flows. We'll have those available if that's helpful for people. And they'll have, this is also pink. So both of the client sheets are different shades of pink. So those are the client sheets. So they will have this, and it will have 4 spaces for next steps. You all will have extras of these because they might receive 5 different things from us or 6 different things from us. But this is where you write for them what they need to do once they leave. So let's keep with the dental aid thing. I have return address labels printed out already so that you would just place the sticker that matches the organization you're supporting them with in that space. Then if you were able to make an appointment with them, you would write down the date and time of that appointment, what they need to bring. And this is where those 1-pagers come in really handy, so that it says like they need proof of address, they need some form of photo ID, and it's different for everyone. So when they go to that appointment, they need to bring their paper dental aid application with them, what to bring. And then next steps. In that case, it would just be showing up at their appointment, right? But maybe you didn't get a hold of anyone. Maybe they don't have an appointment yet, but they have their application filled out, and their next step is call to set up an appointment. So whatever organization, whatever thing you're doing, you will always put the information sticker here. And then you will put what do they need and what do they do next. Because this is our one-time moment. They're not coming back to us to have us help them with the next step after that.
Marissa?
Yes.
So if we have the time and we're able to, like, let's say call the dental place and set up an appointment, do you think we'll be there on the phone, like asking questions with them? Like what do I don't know what to refer to them as. What does this family I'm helping need to bring? Are we asking all these things, or are these things I should maybe know?
So you should have in the email, there was like 1-pagers for healthcare, 1-pagers for language. So you open your document, your set of documents, and let me pull that up. Here's our 1-pagers for language and transportation. So there are 3 sets of these documents. You only need to be accessing the one for your area of focus. You will want to have this at your fingertips on your computer. I will have a printed, colored set of these for you at your station so that you can easily shuffle through them and find the one you're working with and have it in front of you. But you should see, like here, we've pulled out and researched already what do people need. So for Intercambio English classes, who qualifies? That's another big piece, especially if you're working with food. All of the food agencies have areas that they serve. And so you will have to look at, where does this person live? Now let me look through these 5 different organizations and see which one is the one that will serve them based on what their address is. But documents for appointments or things like that, we should have listed here. So you don't have to ask that on the phone. you'll just transfer. You're not giving these one pagers to the clients. It's too much information. Because we're trying to be ready for any situation, no matter where someone lives. So here we have, okay, no documents needed. So on that little exit slip, I would say none, or I would say whatever their payment might be, if it depends where they live, like, so that they just know they will need to pay for that. And then, okay, you enrolled them online. So their next step is actually waiting for email confirmation or a phone call from Intercambio to make sure that they are registered into class. Because they've
So like
registered.
for the next steps, the wait,
Why?
receive your email.
Yeah, check email and phone for communication from Intercambio. Because
And
they're applying, but then they'll get communication to be put into a class. Is
will we
my
have people from non-Boulder County? Will
we
there
might.
be? We might,
Mhm,
okay. And if
mhm.
that's the case,
And
are
we
there,
have about 50% of the services we're supporting people with are applicable across the state.
okay, that's good.
So people won't show up and be like, oh, there's nothing for me here. Um, the English classes, IDs and driver's licenses, WIC, if people are pregnant or breastfeeding or have kids under 5 or 5 or under. Some other healthcare things are no longer specific to your address. Dental, yeah. So a lot of things that can help people no matter where their address is.
And do you get many homeless people that come?
I do hear about a lot of people who are living in their cars. So
Yes.
if that is the case, then we'll have to kind of see. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone can provide an address of someone or somewhere, even if
Okay.
they are living not really at that address. So
Okay.
if people give us an address, then we roll with that. If someone doesn't have an address, then I will kind of try to field that before I would direct them to a particular station
Okay.
to assess like what can we really help them with, what are their needs, things like that.
Okay.
Other questions?
I'm assuming you're going to talk about the thing that stresses me out is using the translation tool.
Yes,
Mm.
I'm definitely going to talk about that.
Okay.
Any questions about your process from what you are doing when someone comes to you and what you're doing with them and what you're sending them away with?
No, I just need to really familiarize myself a little bit better with the documents you gave me. So that's my homework.
Yeah, that is definitely my recommendation and a piece of the training that we did Thursday that I can't replicate quite as well here. But what I recommend is, and I will send you, sorry, oh, you want some Christmas lyrics?
I saw that.
I'll send you this welcome form if I haven't already, so you can kind of make up a pretend person or a few pretend people and sort of test yourself. If this person came to me and they lived in Westminster and they had, this situation, what would I do? Which service would I look toward? And also with all the services you might be working with in your area of focus, clicking on those links, looking at what is this, how intense is this registration? I've had people click all the links and make sure that they work in our lives, so you shouldn't encounter any issues with that. But I think just practicing and knowing those steps. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up another one, I think
I
so.
also have
We're
a
working on the
question
food.
when you get a chance.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think I
I
was just
have,
gonna say is make sure that you feel like you've read through this information so you're not looking at it for the first time on Thursday.
so I'm sorry, this is Heather. I have all the sheets that you sent us. I have them all printed out in front of me, and I can't see what you're referring to, obviously, but
Right.
I have the welcome, we're glad you're here, the half piece of paper, and
Good.
it goes over the priority needs. And then do you have an example of the exit sheet where we would write things down? I think I'm in
Yes.
the
Let
food
me-
resource. So I see Sister Carmen and Our Center
You're
for
talking about the next
food, and
steps
then
page.
Let me
next
find
steps,
that.
next steps.
I don't
I
think
do
I
not see
sent
that.
that to you, so let me
Okay.
um I'm gonna just pop that into I just texted it to you so you can peek at it.
Okay.
And then
Thank
I
you.
will send that to the group as well so that you have that.
Okay, let me just take a peek at this.
Mhm.
Oh, next steps. Okay, so information of the organization. So my two main resources, or three, it looks like, Sister Carmen, or four. Fish, Sister Carmen, Our Center, and ESAA are going to be my four primary for food.
Yes, and
Okay,
WIC.
next steps. Okay. And WIC. Oh, WIC is here. Okay. Sorry, I have, and community food share. Okay. got
Yes.
it.
Yeah, the food
I
one,
forgot
there's
that I
a
put
lot
that on the
of
back. Okay.
different ones because they're really location specific.
Yeah. Okay, I will definitely look at that, and I'll look at this next step. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Any other questions about this kind of content piece before I shift towards talking about translation? All right. See if I can do this. Stop this.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. Okay. Apologies. I'm sorry. That should be fixed now. I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to screen share my so that I can try to screen share my translation app. Okay. So if you have not already, sorry. If you haven't already, please make sure you've downloaded Google Translate app on your phone. Can I just hear from everyone if you have that on your phone already?
Yes.
I do.
All right, great. So if you are in Google Translate, there are a number of different features that are really helpful. But the first part is just to know this is where you would enter text or information. This the switching arrows sign is used to flip the same two languages you have selected back and forth. So if I click that, oh, someone can write in Dari and then it'll translate into English. If I flip it again, I can start in English and translate to Dari. If I click on the language, that's where you have all the languages listed. Depending on the language you're using, there are different features that can be used. English, Spanish, a lot of the more common languages, you can use, let me do this. If you noticed now down at the bottom, all of these little icons are blue. With Dari, which is a very specific ethnic language, they don't have the technology for all of these audio supports. for that language. But you probably will be typing, and you should be ready to let someone type on your phone if that's what's needed. They also very likely will have a translator app they're used to using on their phones. So you might just be typing what you think into your phone and showing them, this is what I'm asking you, and they might type into their phone and show you. That's often, in my experience, how things end up going. Because we're sitting, one table over, someone else is also talking. You can try to use the microphone and audio option, but if it's like picking up on someone else's conversation, that might not work, just so that you're prepared to type as well. Or it might be fine.
Can you at least explain how the talking would work? And at my
Yeah.
age, texting is not very accurate and fast.
Yeah, that's fine. Definitely going to demonstrate all of these things. So if I press
Okay.
this microphone button, hi, I'm talking to you right now in English. Oh, I don't know if I can do Zoom and that at the same time.
Now, my husband and I practiced it in both Spanish and German last night, so I
Look at
guess I
you.
kind of get it.
Oops. Got it.
What
Feel
if you don't have like the keyboard for Dari? Like that's a different alphabet.
That's right. Yes. So, that's if you need me to help you add a language on your keyboard, I can do that. You can do that. You also I would expect, or I wouldn't be surprised. I'd never expect anything. You don't know what to expect. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a translator app on their phone and their phone is using their language's keyboard. And then it is once more easier to you use your phone to write what you're saying and they do their phone to do what they're saying. That,
Okay.
certainly that might not be the case. Someone very well could not, but I have found that everyone I've encountered, that has been a critical tool for them to be able to both make it to the US to begin with and then to be surviving here.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Marisa, my brain went somewhere else. Did you say most of the time they're using their phone and you're using your phone?
Yeah. But
Okay.
if they don't have that and you need to add so Dari is a good example. I have, because I work with a family who speaks Dari, I loaded the Dari alphabet onto my phone so she can type on my phone, but she just does it on her own phone. Spanish is a little easier, but I do have a Spanish keyboard too. But you can add any keyboard if it really is necessary. I will help you figure that out.
Is Dari the language for the Afghan families?
They're a ethnic minority and they speak Dari. And other people speak Pashto, which is completely different and not.
Yeah.
What about Farsi? Why was I thinking Farsi?
Farsi is like Iranian Dari,
Okay. So
which
maybe
both
Farsi
then
too?
get called Persian sometimes.
Okay, so on Translate, I don't feel like
There's
I
a Persian also. Yeah, Persian and Farsi are the same.
okay, because I feel like it was either spelled differently or I couldn't find.
Oh, is this also how they're spelling Farsi?
I saw far. It looks like Faro is.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
yeah, that's what I thought was Farsi, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Um, yes.
Like, why is that spelled that way, but Dari is spelled Dari?
I know, right? I've never seen Farsi written that way, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what it is. The other two features I want to show you on here is conversation. If the audio is working, you can do this feature where on the left is one language and it has a microphone for you to speak into it. And on the right is the other language with a different microphone. The top quadrant where it says tap mic to talk, that's where the left side language would appear. So I could press this audio button and talk into it and be talking, and it will translate. And then their response, they would push the other microphone button on the other language, and it would be doing that. And so in that way, you can go back and forth more smoothly if you're able to use that microphone feature. It's a pretty
Okay, how
cool.
did you get, oh, conversation, that's how you got there.
Exactly. Conversation will take you to that layer. So if if the mics are working and it's not picking up on other people, that can be a faster way where you're just talking more real time and the other person is reading what they're saying, which is
Wow.
cool.
Mine started translating you too.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Nice.
Personas que
Um,
existen.
And then I went back to home to get me back to the original screen. And the other feature in the lower right-hand corner is camera. And so if I have random
Yeah.
paper here, if I hover over a document, so this is probably going to be quite helpful. And a lot of times it translates on the fly like it's doing right now, but if I push the photo button, it will confirm and like double check a little bit more thoroughly. And then below my phone is a physical piece of paper. On my phone is the translation of that document. So with applications, some of the applications are only in English, or some they only have English and Spanish, but you can use this so that one, they know what the question is, and you can help them fill out the answer to the question on an application. And I mean, that's really the function for it, but then they can read it too. This has been really helpful for us working with people, so that like they can also often swiftly read through if they have strong literacy skills, which some people, many people do, they can quickly read through a whole document and be like, oh, that's what we're talking about. Yes, now I understand. And the simple questions you're asking me about about whatever we're applying for makes sense. And you can see up at the top the English, Spanish, like I can change languages while I'm within that feature as well. So, and then
What
you
was the
get
pushing
back to
the,
go to home.
okay, and what did you say about the photo, when you take a photo or use the photo button, what's that do?
So then it translates the document into whatever language you're wanting it to go to. So I'll do that one more time. If I click on camera,
Oh, if
and
you just hold it there, it translates it, doesn't it?
it does, it's just it like cross-checks its sources a little bit better.
Okay,
And
okay,
and then you don't have to keep your phone floating,
right,
right? So then I
okay.
can move my
Oh,
phone and show it to someone rather
got
than
it,
like, can you see?
got it, thank you.
Holding this that way.
Okay. That would have been helpful to know when I was going through the Picasso Museum in Paris and it's the
All the
French.
signs.
They didn't put things in English. So it was a great way to read stuff, but it was also, I didn't understand it was the first time I'd ever used Google Translate and I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yes, that's a really good example. I was just in Nepal and I was trying to translate ancient Tibetan script. It didn't work, but I gave
Oh,
it a go. I was like, oh, there's a rock with Tibetan script
Yeah,
engraved into it. Maybe it was the rock, not the script. I don't know.
it was The Rock.
I tried. Um, so yes, I would say play around with your translator apps. Just get comfortable using that so that you're not stressing about the technological piece.
yeah.
It's instead you feel comfortable with the tech so that you can focus on communication with people. Any questions about translation?
I don't think so on my end.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, stop sharing. And let me just, I don't need all of that. So, okay, let me just double check my agenda and make sure I've hit everything because I went in a little bit of a different order than I did on Thursday. I will have name tags, sticky name tags available so that you can put that information on when you arrive. Bring your phone, bring your laptop or tablet, whichever you are using for your registration device, charged, and bring your charger. At our church, basically everywhere we will be, the light switches have the Wi-Fi codes on it. So when you get here, I mean, we can help you with that too, but that's just an easy place to look for it. They're all like little labels stuck on all the light switches so that people who are using our building can find that information. You will have you will then go to your stations when you arrive and you'll kind of settle in and get set up. Like I said, we'll have a table in each of the zones with common supplies like all of the labels, just to try to print less. We're keeping like masters there. So once you know, okay, I need the label for WIC, I'll go grab the correct label rather than every single station has a printout of however 30, 40 labels, that you're not going to use all of those. I don't expect. Translation, you can obviously also use Google Translate on your computer, but I think the phone is a lot better for conversations. But if it's not working or you're getting stuck or something like that, just know you can always just pull up a Google Translate window or tab on your computer. We will also have someone on site just in case we're having any troubles with internet with so many of us on in the same area. And a few other just things to know, like trying to anticipate any sort of problems. So Jim will be around if we have any trouble. If you want to just mentally be prepared and know, like if you have or are comfortable using your hotspot, if you have a hotspot, that like that's just another tool in the tool belt, that if you're feeling frustrated or something's not going well, that's something, if you wanted to, you could do. And sometimes if you're making a phone call, you might need to step out of the building, which is not convenient, but just don't be surprised. Sometimes people have a hard time hearing us from inside of our building. That is maybe awkward, but just so you're not surprised. You may have printed out your own copies of things at home, but I will also have your packet of one-pagers printed out on colored sheets. So like, I forget which one is like all the healthcare zone, those are the yellow sheets and so that it's easy to find. Another thing that we will share with people when they arrive with that folder and welcome form is it's called a red card, but it's information for people to present to ICE or police or what to do if someone were to come to their door and what their basic immigrant rights are. Just so you know, we're thinking about that kind of thing as well. And I'll also just have like office supply things like highlighters and binder clips and paper clips and those large manila envelopes, pens, pencils, Sharpies, blank address labels. Some of the things we focused and pulled and pre-printed labels, anticipating most of the people we'll see will be somewhere in like Boulder, Broomfield, Longmont, Westminster area. But for example, some of the statewide things like the DMV, if you find out they live in Aurora, I recommend rather than giving them a sticky with the Boulder Iris Street, like DMV location, that you do a quick Google of what's the closest DMV to them, and then you can write that on a label for their next steps and give them the more helpful address than the ones that we've located as most likely for people in our area. I think that's pretty much it. I asked first shift to arrive 11:30 to stay till 2:15 if you can, just to have people be really feeling settled and set up and everything's connected before anyone arrives. And then we asked the second shift to come 1:45 till 4:30 to help with cleanup on the back end or any finish any client that maybe it's taking a little longer. Although we're trying to end at 4 for the clinic, then we'll have some cleanup time. And there's ample overlap to allow for, whatever comes up on the road, and also catching up with the person at your station that you are passing off to or that you're replacing, so that maybe they're in the middle of working with the client and you need to take over, or maybe you let them finish and you observe, and there's just lots of buffer all around to try to make it as seamless and supportive to everyone as possible.
You seem so organized. Good job.
Thanks. I tried to think
Yeah,
of a
thank you
lot
so
of
much.
things. We had a lot of people on the team meeting with me
Hey,
for
Marisa,
8 weeks
did you
getting
go
this
away?
ready. Yes, Heather or Bonnie? Who's talking?
Not Heather. I just
Okay.
said thank you.
Oh, okay. Bonnie, did you have a question?
Are that Paul and Barbara Gibb going to be there?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
They will be there. They have prepared the materials for the food area and have a lot of experience, especially with Sister Carmen. But yes.
Cool.
And do you know them? Do you just know them also?
No, I don't think, maybe I might know him. But I just saw their name on the list that they were like the trainers or something. I just didn't know if they were also going to be helping.
Yes, they'll be there the whole clinic time.
Okay, good.
Mhm. Yep. And let's see. Yeah, Heather, you're also food. Sarah, you are language and transportation. And just FYI, Sarah, I'm making a few edits to the DMV thing. When folks met and were practicing with the materials on Thursday, the DMV specifically, it's such a multi-step complicated process and takes a lot more steps that we won't be able to help them with. And we also learned about a nonprofit that does that, like walking alongside people to keep track of, now your next step is you have to get your driver's test, or you have to practice driving, or now your next step is this. So
Wow.
we're in the midst, that team was so awesome. They were navigating that on Thursday night, and we're like, we think it'll be better for people if we shift a little, and have provided input and new links. So you might refer people to El Comité Longmont, which would then provide ongoing support while they get their IDs and licenses. Or if they want to just know about the DMV, you would focus on the first step and not, and now you do this, and now you do this, and in 3 months you'll do that.
Okay.
So if you look at the digital copies, it'll be up to date, and I'll have printed the updated copy in person for Thursday.
Okay, cool.
All
Thanks.
right. Okay, well, if you have any other questions, you can stick around and ask them. But otherwise, just practice and be familiar. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to welcoming our neighbors.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, take care.
See you Thursday. Thank you. Thank you.
What's an ITIN card?
Great question. ITIN is a tax identification number. So everyone pays taxes, even people who are not documented. And they can file their taxes under an ITIN number, or well, I guess that's redundant, but under an ITIN rather than a social security number.
Okay.
So it's an identifying number that would help clarify who they are or that might provide the organization with more information about income bracket and things like that.
Okay, cool. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Know this, but I
You
don't.
can apply for, lots of things using the ITIN. And now you also, maybe you already knew that part, but now you know a little more about how it's a myth that people who are not documented don't pay taxes. The
Right.
reality is that they pay property, they pay sales, obviously, and they pay on their income, even if they're working under without documents, they pay all of those things, but they can't benefit from them.
Yeah, at least in this state, they get some benefits from that. Yeah.
They have this ID that they've been issued, but are there people that just don't at all have that? And then they just couldn't receive any sort of services anywhere, basically?
Right. Yeah. And you can't, like most of the big services and the social welfare programs, like you can't really, but a lot of other places and nonprofits will use that information to help serve more people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild. I'm gonna start busting that myth.
Yeah. Mythbusters.
Yay!
Yes. And I'm also telling myself if no one comes or if very few people come, like we are so much more informed and built like physical empathy by learning about all of these processes and
Sure.
translation and like what does this take and how does that feel? That helps bring us closer to understanding people's experience being new here.
Oh, for sure. If nobody comes, like, I think we should try again.
Yeah, I mean, all the hard work is done with all the
Yeah, you have to
preparation.
all put together.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've done this?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is fantastic. What, shoot, I just wrote, are there some people that you think